Just recently, I went to the Gracie University to check if Gracie Jiu Jitsu is still legit. But what about American Jiu Jitsu? Keenan Cornelius, multi-time world champion, claims that Jiu Jitsu has changed and now we're doing American Jiu Jitsu. But what makes it different? I had to find out for myself. I went to Legion in San Diego, tested out how their gym went, and to see if American Jiu Jitsu is legit as well, or if it's just the same. Let's see how it went.
Here I am at Legion in San Diego, California, home of American Jiu Jitsu. Now this video isn't to compare to Gracie Jiu Jitsu, but I will say, I was happy I didn't have to wear my belt to no-gi class. No-gi class started off the American way by showing off some wrestling, so we wouldn't turn into butt scooters. And while the throws were efficient, what about the actual jiu-jitsu? Well, this probably will surprise you, but a world-class gym taught by wonderful instructors actually end up teaching you really good jiu-jitsu. This class had a heavy focus on wrestling, taking the back, bringing them to the mat, and then choking them out once you got to their back. And if you don't follow the meta, the number one finish for no-gi jiu-jitsu is the rear naked choke. So the technique shown got a solid pass from me, but to see if Keenan is making jiu-jitsu great again and taking it from the Brazilians, I have to see how well they roll. And I had a spicy start by giving my opponent my back, putting me in a terrible position for this first round. But here's a secret trick: fall to your hip. This is going to make it harder for them to stay on top of you and then constantly pushing the far hook out first. Then, with enough time, patience, and American currency to pay off your partner, you'll be able to escape back control and not have to worry about that pesky rear naked choke. The next step of business is to use some pressure passing to get around their guard. I'm on that American diet. Tons of calories in every meal, way beyond I need, but it helps me out a lot if I want to keep my weight on top of them. I sense my partner has some wrestling capabilities because he's trying to turn so hard to his stomach instead of shrimping back to guard. This isn't a huge issue for me because most wrestlers fall into the same trap, but he's playing smart and defending his neck the entire time he tries to work to turtle, so I go behind him and give him that Dagestani pressure myself. Because I'm able to control his wrist, it makes it really tough for him to turn back the way he'd like to go, and I can start throwing my leg over the top and taking a better position. And that's right, it's the same one we went over in class. A nice solid back control with body triangle. But I gotta admit, it doesn't feel very American being my back with another man on top of me, so I decide to get out of here. It's definitely not because he broke my bottom hook and I want to maintain top position. We have a small scramble that occurs because he's trying to push me away from him as I take the top, but he has such a strong grip over my wrist that he uses this to turn out and then he shoots in on me, which falls right into my master plan of locking up the chin and going for a guillotine. The nice thing about visiting other gyms is not everybody knows what my favorite technique to do is. He's trying everything he can to yeet me over the top, but I've got an iron grip and I get the tap and mount. Solid jiu-jitsu all around for my first opponent, and I'm quite impressed, but it wouldn't be a good test if I didn't go up against the biggest guy I could find. Now quick, before this guy decides to eat me and I meet my demise, I want you guys to know that if you want to make jiu-jitsu great again, go to my website and pick up a hat. Let's take jiu-jitsu from the Brazilians, like a true American. Typically with a bigger guy, guillotines are tough to do because it's hard to get out from underneath them, so I go towards the leg lock instead and I'm working on backside 50-50. But he keeps turning with me and he has good pressure over his ankle, making it tough for me to turn him. I go back to the reap and I'm thinking about going to a knee bar, but because he's able to get his leg folded, kicking it towards his own butt, I then have to think about the toe hold. Then naturally I lose everything, I don't even try and get it back on top, and we're back where we started. Thankfully he lets off a little bit of pressure and I'm pretty stubborn, so when he gives me an opening, I'm going to go for the exact same attack I tried the first time, despite having absolutely zero success. He's way bigger than me, so I gotta think outside the box, and I use his momentum as he comes in to, this time, get underneath him and go towards single leg X. He stuffs my right leg, so I push him off with my left foot, hit him with a quick ankle guillotine, and since I can go belly down, it's a pretty quick tap. While I'm glad that trick worked the first time, I probably won't be able to hit that one on him again. Instead of bringing his weight on top of me, I'm sitting up, and I'm doing this as a good trick because as he lets off the pressure, I hit him with a quick ankle pick to bring him down. Now I have to make sure that I pair that nice wrestle up opportunity with some good guard passing. And my number one pass I've been doing lately is pressure passing to avoid all those nasty footlocks. It's a very slow style, but even though he's way bigger than me, I want to feel heavier than him. I'm able to start shimmying my legs out after I find the right opening and I can go straight to knee on belly, putting more pressure on him. Then it's pretty obvious that if I have knee on belly, it won't take too much more work until I want to go straight into mount. I know that Craig Jones loves to say that jiu-jitsu is gay, but you can't tell me that about this position. I'm on top of him, I'm pinning him down to the mat so he can't counter my attacks, and no wait, yeah, I can see that. But I also want you guys to see this quick mount take I do. As he sits backwards, I go over his leg to pass his guard instantly, regaining mount position. My opponent eventually turns out to the side, and we struggle snuggle for a little bit longer. But before I could decide if Keenan's American Jiu-Jitsu was legit, I wanted one more opponent. And I got just that with one of their black belts. We previously saw how I did one of the Gracie black belts at their university. And I'm not here to say one person deserves it more than the other, but I think it's a good test when you go to a new gym to roll with the black belts and see what their students are like. Obviously somebody like Keenan Cornelius would just crush me in Jiu-Jitsu, but can he instruct his students to do the same? Taking a quick examination into that, it's not looking too great for me as I'm already dealing with him on top of me in side control. And then he switches off into Kisagatami, wraps up my other leg, and puts me into a not very fun neck crank. Alright, this time around I'll focus a little bit more because I've never been caught in a Kisagatami submission. We had a fairly flowy roll, but I must say I really liked his passing style where he was constantly moving things with only his chest and then going into the body lock. I'm a huge fan of showing my head into places he shouldn't be, so I like to see that he did the same thing, especially because he was able to bring me into a guillotine, which I could sweep him over with using the chin strap and one underhook. While it's really tough to see because his head is trapped underneath my chest, I'm throwing both hands over the neck, but he's doing a nice job hand fighting, and I have to bail on the choke so I can maintain my top position. It was my turn to shove my 5 head into his chin, but I didn't want to get caught in a guillotine like he did the first time around, so I made sure to have a deep, tight waist. While a body lock may be more ideal, this lets my left hand be free so I can move it around to go on the back of his neck. I believe that passing with a front headlock is really beneficial to anyone's game, but here's a unique counter I haven't seen before. As I'm in this position trying to settle for side control, he's reaching his arm around my leg. Normally I wouldn't care about this, but then the second hand comes behind my ribs. I'm starting to see now he wants to try and flip me all the way over. Then once he starts to shimmy his weight around a little bit, I have to keep him pinned to the mat, but he catches my second ankle, and now I'm trapped. My legs are stuck, he starts to come up with the dogfight, and I think you can all see where this is going from here. With some masterful game planning, I decided to run into another group, so I didn't concede the position, technically. And after having some more back and forth with this black belt, I came to the conclusion, American Jiu-Jitsu is 100% legit. But it doesn't matter if you're practicing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, American Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, as long as you're enjoying the art itself and increasing your skills in Jiu-Jitsu, you're in the right sport. There's no need to constantly redefine everything and set up new barriers when we can all be working together. In the end, they're all legit. But if you want to get some gear that makes you look better while you're doing the sport, make sure to go to xmartial.com. With promotion code Tyler10, you can get some great looking rash guards, shorts, gis, whatever itinerary fits your needs. It may not improve your technique on the mat overall, but it will at least make you look more stylish.